the thing about telling the truth that's so adventurous is that you let go of what you want and you replace it with a hypothesis. It's the hypothesis of faith. And the hypothesis is, it doesn't matter what I want because I don't know even what I should want. Instead I can say what I'm going to make a claim, and a philosophical claim, that if I tell the truth as carefully as I can, then whatever happens is the best that could have possibly happened in that situation, no matter how it looks.
Yeah.
Right. And
that's profound.
Well, but it's adventurous. That's the thing that's so fun about it. And I think this is also why it's not merely you should bow down to the rules, because that's sort of a slave mentality in some sense, right? I mean, you have to be a slave to things. You have to be disciplined. So I'm not denying the utility of following the rules, but telling the truth is much more dynamic than that, because you don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
And you don't care. Or maybe to put it more precisely, as I said, you assume that whatever happens is the right thing.
Yeah.
And then it was so exciting to me last year when I was doing the biblical lectures to understand finally that the link between the idea of God employing the logos to create habitable order and saying that it was good. It says, oh, okay, so that's the deepest reflection of that idea. The idea is that the being that you speak forth from potential with truth is good.
Yeah.
It's like that might be true.
Yeah.
Well, Jesus, just think what it would be like if that was true.
Yeah.
It's the key. It's like, well, how do you set things right? Tell the truth.
I've actually come to think during the past 2 years that if you honestly speak the truth, it makes you, and well, not indestructible, but it does kind of make your soul indestructible. And I think the archetypes are referred to, Maximus, Hector, Leonidas, all men who spoke the truth. They were all defeated in the end, but their soul was not broken when they
Socrates
were defeated.
is the best example of that, because we know, the thing about Socrates that's so cool is that, there's arguments about the historical reality of Christ, and there's arguments about the historical reality of the Buddha and Muhammad as well. There's no arguments about the historical reality of Socrates. He lived, and we have 2 transcripts of his trial from 2 different people. And they basically, and I outlined this again in this same chapter about doing what is meaningful and not what is expedient. When Socrates, when he was accused of corrupting the youth of Athens, there was a game that was going on. It was a political game. And Socrates was a gadfly, right? He bothered people because he kept asking them questions, He wanted to know the answers. He'd ask them questions. And then the people he was questioning would find out that they didn't know the answers, and that was very disturbing to them, And so they all got together. Athens was a small city by our standards, only 25,000 people. Everyone knew everyone, like seriously, right? And all the local aristocracy got together and said, God, we're sick of this guy. Why don't we tell him we're going to put him on trial? And sort of hint that he should get the hell out of town. That was the game. Yeah. So that, they announced the trial, and everyone knew it was going to be a fixed outcome. But the idea was, well, we'll announce it 6 months ahead of time, and he can have a colloquy with his friends and get out of town, and then we'll be rid of him, and that'll be the end of that. Well, and Socrates knew that this was the game, and so did his friends. And they all got together and said, well, we got to get you out of town. And Socrates was thinking, yeah, that's probably a good idea, because I don't want to be dead. And then he went off and had a little consultation with his conscience, his daemon, he called it. I think you actually pronounce it demon, but it means conscience for our purposes. And he went and had a conference with it, and he was thinking internally, consulting his conscience, and it said, don't run away. And he thought, well, really? What do you mean, don't run away? These people want to kill me. They're going to kill me. What do you mean, don't run away? And his conscience said, don't run away. Don't run away. That's how it is. You're not to run away. And Socrates came back and told his friends, okay, I went and talked to my conscience, and he said, the one thing that makes me different from all other men is that when my conscience tells me not to do something, I stop. It doesn't tell me what to do. It tells me what not to do, and then I don't do it, no matter what. That's what made me who I am. And he said, the Delphic Oracle had said, for her part, he said that at his trial that he was the wisest man, and she was very highly regarded, right? Whatever she was doing with her hallucinogenic tricks, she was the mouthpiece of the gods, and said that Socrates was the wisest man in Greece, and we still remember him. He didn't run. He didn't run. And then he thought, okay, well, if my conscience is correct, let's assume that for a minute. Weird as that is, because how could it be correct? But it's always been correct before. He said, well, look, and he said this at his trial, I'm old. I'm old. I've been renowned for my clarity of thought. I'm going to die not so long from now. And so now I have this opportunity to put my affairs in order and to say goodbye to everyone and to live the remainder of my life with integrity and to say what I have to say. And then at his trial, he just flips the table and he goes after the people who are prosecuting him. And you see why they want him dead. It's devastating. It's devastating. And so, you know, we know the story 2,500 years later, 3,000 years later. And, well, and that's a reflection of exactly what you said, is that that part of the spirit doesn't die.
Yeah.
Now, what does that mean?
I think it means that it dies when you corrupt yourself.
Well, that's what Solzhenitsyn said in the Gulag Archipelago. You know, he said there's something worse than death. That's a good thing to know. Yeah. And that's the death of your soul. And that's whether the soul is immortal or not. It's a psychological idea. It's like there are conditions under which it would be better not to live. Well, that's the cry for freedom, I would say. You know, so because life without truth is hell. Yeah. That's the right way of looking at it.